So growing up in a house that not a faithful household, and that's every time we'd go to my grandparents' house, we'd go to church on Sundays, but it was a Baptist church, so it was a little different. Then when we go back to where I grew up in Austin, Texas, we were more of the family that was an Easter Sunday or a Christmas service 2 times a year. And so for me, growing up, didn't know a whole lot, and getting into high school, FCA was starting to become a bigger organization where I was growing up, and still not really knowing what it was all about. And from my perspective, I thought it was you do good deeds, and you're a good person. That means you're a Christian. But that's and until I got to college, and basically I was trying to make things happen on my own, and what I thought was that way until getting into college, when my first adversity of not really knowing who I was. And somebody introduced me to Pastor Adam Starling in Norman, Oklahoma, that changed my perspective, that I didn't have to be perfect, I didn't have to have it all figured out, that we're all born sinners and that we've been saved. And he put that in perspective to me, that I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to be a perfect football player, a leader to be a good Christian. And so he really introduced me, and that's not to say that I dove into it right away, because I didn't. It was one of those things where it was scary for me at that time. Fast forward to getting into the NFL, get drafted to Cleveland. Drew Stanton and Kristen Stanton, who I think they were in their 9th year in the league, they were huge mentors for us, and they were the first couple that said, "Come to PAO. We're going to sponsor you. Just show up. Just make sure you get there." And we're like, okay, not really knowing what it was. And when we first showed up, we got married in 2019. In February of 2020 was our first PAO, and realized that this is what we've been looking for. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of emptiness that I had been searching for, and through ups and downs that thought I could fulfill it in other ways, and did not. And my identity at the time was a football player. It was a quarterback, and I thought I could carry that. I was like, oh, I've done this. I walked on. I did this. I did that. Fast forward a couple of years into my NFL career, God taught me a lesson. He had to take my career down to the studs and make me realize that I'm more than a football player. There's much more going on in the game of football. And for me to see that, I had to hit rock bottom. And it wasn't just football, it was in our marriage. We weren't doing well at all. At this time, we were trying to have kids, wasn't going well. And so that was when we dove into PAO. But I remember a couple of years ago, we talked about there's that 99% of you that you can put on a facade as a guy, you put on the mask, but behind closed doors, who are you really? What are you hiding? Are you being vulnerable? And until my career got stripped down, I was hiding a lot. Mm-hmm. And then for me to climb back up, I had to dive into the Word and accept the grace. And that was something that was really, really hard for me. And when I eventually did, I started to see things from a different viewpoint. And that was the biggest change in my life. And that's a couple of years ago. And I think the best part that I've learned throughout the process is it's constant work. Mm-hmm. It's not like you just get baptized and you're saved. You have to continue to work, because the enemy is out to get you. And that's what I thought that, okay, once I achieve something, I can just move on. No, this is something that has to be part of the daily routine, and you have to make your priorities aligned with that. And so it's been a journey, but it all happened for a reason, and God's timing was perfect, where Tampa feels like home for me now, but that's because of what I built the foundation on, and what my wife and I, Emily, built our foundation on, and that's our faith. And it's been such a special ride to let God take us through that.